am programming Perl for more than 10 years. I'm from Brazil, from São Paulo. One of the founders of São Paulo Promoters. I moved to Lisbon 4 or 5 years ago, and then to Amsterdam 2 years ago. I'm working for Booking.com. About Booking.com, it's I think most of you have heard about online hotel reservations. We have more than 80,000 hotels right now and growing. More than 130,000 reservations a day. That means millions and millions of reservations a year. Right now we have in the company 60 developers. I'm working there for 2 years. 2 years ago we were just 30, and the company doubled the number of developers, and we are hiring. Looking plans to hire more than 30 developers this year. This presentation, I will start talking about why I decided to talk about this subject. All the languages right now seem to be competing for the front end. Perl, PHP, Python, Ruby. You see all the attention going to web frameworks and what you can do with the cool new applications you can create. Because that's what people can see. That's the visible part of technology. Perl is strong, very, very strong in the backend. But for most companies who use Perl right now, Perl is just another tool. It's like awk or set, grep. I think nobody have heard about YGC or yet another grep conference. I haven't. Because grep, set, awk, Perl, they are just tools. So for the most companies that use Perl right now, this is not important, and so Perl becomes invisible. On the other hand, data warehouse is a very, very hot topic. It's the root of business intelligence, decision support systems, lots and lots of buzzwords use data warehouse, and we are going to cover a few of them. One of the places where Perl is used, I'm going to explain a bit more about what data warehouse is later, but one of the parts where Perl is very, very, very used is in the ETL part of the data warehouse. It's the extract, transform, and load. When you extract information from source systems, transform, clean up, and load or deliver to the final destination, which is the data warehouse. That's 70% of the resources needed for most data warehouse implementations. And I didn't invent that. I'm using as source of, for this presentation, 3 books, which are the, I think, most important books about data warehouse. The Data Warehouse Toolkit from Ralph Kimball, the Data Warehouse ETL Toolkit, and Mastering Data Warehouse Agreements. They are, I think, the 3 main sources of information to anyone who wants to know more about data warehouse. The problem of Perl in the data warehouse right now is that most of the code that companies and developers write is just ad hoc, simple scripts, quick and dirty solutions to the extraction, transformation, and load. CPAN provides a lot of modules, but if you go to CPAN and look for data warehouse, you are not going to find anything. If you go to CPAN and look for ETL, you are not going to find anything. That makes the life of anyone wanting to use Perl in the data warehouse more difficult. Perl is the tool for this kind of job, is perhaps the best tool available for that. I started talking about the languages that are used in the front end, Ruby, Python, PHP. None of them can do what, perhaps Ruby is the closest, but Perl is without doubt the best language for this kind of tests. So the problem is people have, most developers have to just write something from scratch. There is nothing written to facilitate data warehouse and ETL tests. So my proposal here is to change that with what I call, based on the name of this book, would be the Perl Data Warehouse Toolkit, a framework dedicated to data warehouse tests. Right now, I don't have much code. I have some test case and some very, very initial API. But I'm going to talk more about that and show you what I have in terms of planning. Now comes the moment of asking what is a data warehouse. I would like to know here a few who works daily with data warehouse, who has experience in this subject. So I am going to give now an introduction about the subject of data warehouse. The others, do you know, do you have some experience about the concepts of dimensional modeling and things like that? Yeah, so it's good because most don't have that experience, so I'm going to do an introduction about that right now. So, the data warehouse is a repository of the data, of the company data. It's a repository focused, designed to reporting and analysis. When we talk about company data, we have two very, very different roles. We have the operational systems, not to be confounded with operating systems. The operational systems are the systems that run our operations. Anybody who works with a database normally is working with the operational system, the transactional system, the system that if it goes out, your business stops to work. The data warehouse is not about running your system, it's an analytics system. The data warehouse is where you get information. The operational system executes your business processes. For instance, in the case of Booking.com, we have 100,000 reservations a day. If the operational system stops for 1 hour, we lose a lot of reservations. We lose a lot of money. The operational system can't stop, never. The data warehouse is used for an analytical purpose, for evaluation. So you want to know how your business is doing. Your CEO wants to compare current data with past data. Well, it's very important. It will provide a lot of insight and information about your company, but it's okay if it's offline for some time. The company will not stop because of that. The company will not stop if the CEO doesn't receive a report. So usually the two systems are in different databases. This is one important thing. We don't put in the same machine, in the same place, the data house and the operational systems. Because the operational systems can't stop just because someone is running an important report for the CEO. The CEO must wait. The data house and the operational systems have different focus in terms of time. Operational systems are about right now. When I think about Booking.com, how many rooms we have available right now. This room is available right now. There is a customer asking for a room in a given country. What's the list of hotels and things like that. The data house is not about current data. Usually, the data house will have information for yesterday. There is a window of loading that usually happens during the night. So data house is not about right now. It's about the past. Compared to last year, we are increasing our sales. We are decreasing. If we see the evolution of our sales in the last 10 years, what are the trends? Looking at the trends, we can project the future. The data house, the time dimension is very important and is always to the past. Data house and operational systems also have two very different types of queries. Operational systems, the database we use every day, using again the example of Booking.com, we are all the time selecting data, inserting data, updating, deleting, selecting hotels, inserting availability, updating information. That happens all the time. All the time the operational system is used. The data house, on the other hand, the end user won't ever insert or update or delete that data for the data house. You only select information for that. And only when you need a report. So it has peaks of usage during the day, which can be very bad if you share the same machine or the same servers, the same environment. That it's important to have a very, very clear separation, because there are peaks with very heavy load that can pose risk to the operational systems. Because data house and operational systems are so different, we have two very different design principles. In operational systems, we use the third normal form. We try to separate everything in small tables. We don't repeat information. In the data house, we have something completely different, which is the dimensional design. It's also called the star scheme. So we'll talk now about dimensional design. Given a fact, for instance, 300 miles. What's that? It's a lot. It's a little. What's the meaning of this fact?